Hello there. Happy new moon to you all. So the new moon, if you're in the Eastern Standard Time or New York, Toronto, Montreal, is going to be at 9:55 p.m. this evening. So hopefully you're seeing this beforehand. And I apologize that I sort of did it right on the day. Usually I do it before. But as is with the new moon and the moon in Virgo, sun and moon in Virgo, there's all these things to do, all these plans, right? All these strategies and to-do lists, and it's back to school, and it tends to be, mentally a busier time. We feel the end of summer. If you're in this hemisphere, we feel the change of season. We feel like a shift in the weather. We feel, it's not nothing. So there's a lot to suddenly catch up on somehow, and when we get to the solstice, which will be the 21st of September, not that far away, we're close to the autumn solstice, and for that usually means a return to like yin energy and going within. Virgo is very much a hermit. The hermit card is a Virgo card. And this time of year, you might go back into your books. That's sort of a form of hermiting, or you might feel a little more ready to introvert, as I like to call it, just stay in, rest a bit more, reflect a bit more, walk, maybe you need some time on your own, because the sun and moon in Virgo is pretty powerful for like introspective, and, doing detailed work and study. So you might be feeling some of that. You might be feeling some of the other influences that we're going to talk about in this video. Before I get going, though, I would like to invite you to subscribe and like, and please share. I would love it if you shared them. And we build a community of people, on our wavelength in this astrology community. So let's take a look at the chart. Oh, and by the way, yes, before I get going, I do have a special that I'm starting today as a Labor Day special, where I'm giving 25, get it straight, Catherine. I'm giving 15% off of the tarot clairvoyance and the astrology sessions that I offer. So I'll have a link in the bottom in the comments if you want to reach me for that. It's always my email, but that's how I'll do it. All right, let's take a look now at this chart. Okay. So as we mentioned, in the Eastern time zone, it's happening tonight at 9:55 p.m. So you might be feeling, it's interesting that it's happening. It's a dark moon happening in the dark. Nothing to see tonight in the skies, except maybe a couple of bright planets. So based on this time zone, we have Taurus as the rising sign. And of course, there's our sun and moon down there in Virgo. So they trine each other. 11 degrees, and ascendant would be 14 degrees. So that's sort of nice. That might help you feel just even more ready to be comfy, cozy, stay at home, read a good book, catch up on something, meditate, whatever it is you like to do, because Taurus is like, wants to be comfortable, and Virgo is like just content to just be in your own world, in your own head. Sometimes Virgo moon can also be wanting to like cleanse and purify something. Maybe you feel like that's your health, maybe your diet, maybe you're going to revamp your rituals around your food and your morning routines or your bedtime routines. It's always very much about that as well with Virgo. But it also could be, cleaning out the closets, reorganizing the drawers, setting things up, you know, to be successful for the fall and for the school year. Buying supplies. Yes, doesn't Virgo love to make lists and buy supplies? And then Taurus rising is just, yeah, it makes it all nice and comfy. There's nothing conflicting on that level. However, as you can see, we've got this couple of red lines. So there are things challenging our new moon, namely Saturn. Saturn over here at 16 Pisces. So the moon opposite Saturn, again, would be a sense of restriction on your emotional flow. And Sun opposite Saturn, same thing, just sort of restriction and structuring and, you know, curbing the energy a bit. Now, the interesting thing when you have Virgo opposite Pisces planets of any sort is you often deal with this victim and savior type of behavior and quality. Virgo does like to serve, and Pisces does sacrifice. And we need to be always discerning, which is great, moon and sun in Virgo, for discernment. Maybe critical, maybe a bit judgmental, but very discerning. We need to discern where we give our energy, right? It's not, you can have compassion and you can offer assistance or a guidance or a suggestion or offer to help. But we don't want to get into something where you feel like you are in a victim, savior, slave kind of model, where you're just giving yourself over and depleting yourself or feeling taken advantage of or used in any way, not valued for what you do, or, you know, offering or trying to help where it is not asked for is something to be careful of too. So with Saturn opposite the sun and moon, yeah, that theme is definitely in play. So you may want to ask yourself, you know, if you want to be of help or service or guide anybody, to just sort of be clear on the boundaries of that for yourself before you offer, and to be sort of honest with yourself also, like depending on the person and the weight and the nature of the problem, not to get yourself all wrapped up in their results. And even in some cases to say, well, is this really something that I can help the person with, or is it really up to them? So there's lots of themes about that. You know, obviously right now, it's now more than ever, it's not very sexy to be calling yourself a victim of anything, even if you were genuinely a victim. But the victim mentality or the martyr thing is really what we got to watch for, which is like feeling like you're helpless to do anything yourself. Running to people, and maybe not the right people, and letting them make your decisions for you, or giving your power away. You know, but if you were genuinely, and we definitely see in the news all kinds of things all the time, but especially with the recent news of the hostages that were killed, we see definitely there are people that are genuine victims of things in this life too. And so if that is your case, and something definitely victimized you, then you need to honor that, and you're not being a martyr. No, it's very tricky material, very tricky gray lines with this kind of, with these topics, right? Not everybody who is saying that they are victimized is really talking about a genuine situation of victimization. They might just be frustrated or self-centered or pissed off that they're not getting their way. and other people, the ones that tend to genuinely be a victim, have been victimized by something real, they tend not to talk about it. But they need to heal it. So those themes are in play with Saturn opposite the Sun Moon. Now, the other thing that it's squaring off with here is Jupiter in Gemini. So even though both are ruled by Mercury, Mercury in ruling Virgo and in Virgo planets is much more, like we said, analytical and methodical, and making strategies and to-do lists, and you know, deciphering and filtering through stuff. Mercury, when it rules Gemini, and then Jupiter in Gemini here, Gemini is more about being curious and adaptable and expanding and trying things on for size. It's like if it's Mercury ruled, even though this is a Jupiter square, but I'm talking about the differences because both of these signs are ruled by Mercury. So how are they different? Well, one is like, ooh, what's that? Wow, what's over there? You know, and the other one is like, okay, I've brought it all home. Now this goes there and that goes there. That's about the quickest explanation I can give of the, actually, it's a good analogy, actually. Gemini is like, woo, in the store. Load up the cart. That looks cool. And Mercury is like, Virgo is like, where's the budget list? Where's like, well, how much did you pay for that? What do we need? You know, and it analyzes it. So with Sun Moon squaring Jupiter, then we have that similar energy of like social and extroverted and gathering and trying and launching 3 things at once and maintaining 4 conversations at the same time, and just like it's all over the place and it's expansive and it's fun and it stays sort of light. But because it's squaring Sun and Moon and Virgo, it's like, oh geez, could you just pare down what you're doing? Could you just narrow down on something, please? You know, and that's what you might be doing right now. You might be filtering and narrowing in on what things you want to put your energy on. Where is it worth it? Maybe some of the things or people, hopefully not people, but hopefully some of the projects or things you've started are right ideas, or 10 things you bought, maybe they'll be out donated, you know. Maybe some of the projects you go, well, it's great, but maybe I have to shelf it because I really got to focus on this right now. So there's this push-pull of expansion versus like consolidating and making things efficient versus expansion. And other than that, it's not really making any aspects, not the moon anyway. We have other things going on, but the moon just has these squares and oppositions to it. So of course, that desire to hermit and gather info and put it all in place and create new rituals and strategies and simplify and purify and go within a bit, it does have some challenges to it. But because you've got it trine to the Taurus ascendant, if you've got the will, you'll be able to do it anyway. You just have to be a little stronger willed and take your place, take your peace, take your space, and let yourself go do those tasks. So the nice side of the chart is this lovely trine that we have between, wait for it, Pluto retrograde. We must talk about Pluto retrograding. It just started today. 29 degrees. Look at that. 29 degrees, 59 seconds. Capricorn. You can't get any more cusp than that. So Pluto's going to retrograde from now, September 2nd, to November 19th. And this is the final pass before it's going to go into Aquarius and stay there for 20 years. So when you think of that symbolically for a minute, it's like Again, I'll use an analogy. Okay, you're moving to a new place. You've had some of your stuff still at your old one, and you're mainly at the new place, Pluto and Aquarius for the last while. But you still have some stuff stored back at your other one. You know, you still, I don't know, maybe you've got it in a room at your parents' place or a friend's place, or maybe you've been paying double rent. But anyway, I digress. You've got stuff in one place, but you mainly be living in the new one. So you're mainly focused on the future in the new house. There's still this stuff back there. That's sort of what retrograde feels like. Then retrograde comes along and it's like, oh, we got to go back to the house and get that other stuff. Okay. And then you spend this next little while with it retrograde as if you're going through the house one more time and you're deciding, do we need that? Is that coming with us? Is that part of the future? Or is that gone? Is that done? So depending on what sign you are, for some of us, it'll be a little more intense again, meaning Capricorn, Aries, Cancer, and Libra, because you've had 16 years of this same energy of revamping your life. And then we went into Aquarius and you have a break from that, focusing on the future. Well, now it's coming, you know, back to where it was all these years, and you'll be revisiting one more time, like, okay, one more sweep of the house, one more time I'm going to go through that closet and go, do I really have to do that? Or I really still want that. You know, it's both. It's evaluation. Some astrologers are saying, and, you know, I agree, like for some people, it might feel like there's one more test, you know, one more, not really a surprise, although Uranus is trine. See that? Uranus is trine Pluto. So it could bring some surprise for some people. But whatever it is, the surprise shouldn't really be so surprising because it'll be a test of whatever has come before it all these 16 years. So it's a little more intense if you're Cancer, Libra, Aries, or Capricorn, but it's still applicable to us all. We all have Pluto going through some house, some area of life where you're like, oh, not again. Really? Do I have to revisit this? It's like when you read a book and you've read the page and you're like, I don't remember it. I just read it and I can't remember it. Okay, read it again. And then you read it again. Okay, I remember part of it, but I think I still spaced out in the middle. Okay, I read it again. And then eventually you get through the whole thing and you've read it. Do you retain it? Maybe, maybe not. You go back and read it. You keep trying to read it until it sinks in and you retain it. 16 years of the same lesson, the same page. And now one more time, it's going to pass back through and you're going to be like, really? I have to read and memorize this one more time, eh? I thought I read it. And then what's going to happen is you'll read the page and you'll see a line or two in a whole new light. Or you'll read the page and you'll feel completely different about it than you used to. There'll be no more emotional attachment to it. So I feel that whatever happens between now and the 19th is a purging. It's time to go. If you feel like, oh, not again, don't sit there and go, oh, I'm a victim to this. Saturn in Pisces, right? The victim. No. Ask yourself, have I been here, done that? Yes. Okay. What actions did I maybe not take to really make sure that I get this thing that I want, that I don't do what I said I wasn't going to do again, whatever it is? That's the step to take. You have from now till November 19th, where it'll be revisited and you can start taking action to start going, next page, nope, burning the page, no more of this page. It's done. Book is done. Because we move into Aquarius and we move into the future for 20 years after that. So it's very nice that when this aspect that's coming back to, you might say, to haunt us, to test us, to reawaken us, to go, are you sure? it is making a nice trine to Uranus, which can bring, like we said, rebellion and surprise. Because it's trine Pluto, if there is any kind of rebelliousness that has to happen with Uranus, Pluto, we would expect that. But they're trine, so it is a necessary rebellion, a necessary revolution. It can be your own personal revolution. We might see it play out exterior or in the big picture of life too. And sometimes those reckonings or those revolutions, those necessary or long overdue or chapter closing, can be very painful and difficult when it comes to, war, when it comes to long-standing conflicts. And yet at the same time, most things must come to an end and change into something else. We can't have the same record going for centuries. And that's one of those hard truths that we might have to come to grips with this last pass of Pluto and with whatever surprises Uranus brings. However, there could be some very nice parts of the surprise because it's also making a nice trine. See the big triangle, grand trine with Venus. Venus and the South Node in Libra, which is all about love and balance and harmony and peace and wanting fairness. So this gives me a very exciting feeling that whatever your own personal rebellion or revolution is, there is a pull towards peace and love and justice with it. And that will include globally. So I think we might see some breakthroughs on the world stage, and we might see some breakthroughs personally. If you keep that higher mindedness engaged, meaning peace, love, and justice as the goal. Requires a lot of courage, requires leadership to do that, doesn't it? But that's very encouraging as an aspect, and that is actually probably the strongest thing in the chart because it's a grand trine. So what else is going on here? Well, Mars is poised here at 28 degrees Gemini. So remember what we said about Gemini wanting to be very curious and gather everything up and just go, oh, that and maybe this and a little bit of this, like a buffet. It's another good Gemini analogy. Big buffet, big plate, pile it on. Let's try that. Let's just see if I like it and throw it out if I don't. Just trying. No harm done. Experimenting can be same with people. Let's just invite them. Let's just gather everybody, include everybody. But as I mentioned, the Mars and Gemini can also be very sometimes two-faced, and it can be very scattered, and it can be sort of gossipy. And it's making, you see this dotted green line? That is called a quincunx. And that's where things are just sort of grinding each other. Doesn't work well. So Mars is going to be aggravating Pluto a little bit, but it's not like a direct hit, like a square or an opposition where they're clearly like, that's what I want. That's what I want. Or I'm going this way. I'm going this way. Better not crash into each other. The quincunx is like, grinding. It's annoying. It's annoying. So that's in the air because Pluto's going to retrograde 29. It's going to stay around 29 degrees this next 3 months. And Mars is going to keep moving, and it'll be in Cancer pretty soon. But even in early Cancer, it's still going to grind it. Okay, so, it's not going to be long, but we're still looking at maybe another couple of weeks of frustration, possibly. The Gemini is the one that's frustrated. The Earth signs are sort of stronger in this chart because Uranus, Pluto, Sun, Moon, all in Earth. the Gemini is being like, not really quite squeezed, but it's sort of like, it's starting to silence it a little bit. That big summer kind of, woo, let's try this energy. It's being just dampened a bit right now. So, you know, we've all maybe had that feeling at the end of summer anyway. At the end of a vacation, it's like you have to sort of come down from the high and get back to life a little, back to routine. That's what that sort of feels like. With Pluto there, I mean, Pluto grinding Mars, well, there, that can create certain kinds of aggravation, temper tantrums, and, you know, build up and blow kind of moments with people, world situations too. But it's grinding, so we don't know, is it, you know, will it express itself in a big way, or will it be more covert, or feel like there's just a buildup and an agitation in the air versus an actual action? You know, it's very different if somebody's just sort of tired of dealing with someone and they're like, oh, every time they come in the room. It's very different than, get out of here, I don't want to talk to you anymore, right? Which would be like Mars opposite Pluto would be like, go away, I told you to stop staring at me, right? Whereas like Quinnacunx is more like, oh, when somebody, you know, it's like, so it creates this friction that's just building like a boil, you know. So you might feel that in the air too. Mars is also squaring Venus. Again, Venus is making that beautiful trine to like personal liberation and personal revolution and personal rebellion, maybe. And then it's grinding it. Well, it's squaring it. So it's sort of like, in this case, the Gemini energy is taking away from sort of a force of change that is greater than itself. And it's almost like, let's say you're doing something amazing and you're building something and it's exciting and there's people coming on board and everyone's like forming a nice flow and a team. And then the Gemini planets, not Gemini people, okay? It's the Gemini energy planets are coming along, and it would be like, are we there yet? How about, what if you did that instead? You know, and everybody's sort of like, would you just like cool it, because we have something great going on. You can join us, but like, don't keep adding 50 suggestions or bringing in, oh, I just said, you know, I'm going to bring Fred to build that part of it. It's like, well, no one asked you or asked him. So there's that kind of feeling in the air too, especially when like Sun Moon Virgo wants to just, oh, I just want to go within a bit. Like, I don't want it complicated. But there is that feeling of like, there's something bigger than us happening right now. Something much bigger than all of us. There always is, but I mean, sometimes we can feel it more than other times. And there's something brewing, and there's something lovely about that when that happens, even though some of the change bursts out in difficult ways, but some will burst out and be good too. So think about it in terms of your own personal rebellion or revolution. What do you need to revolutionize and change in your life? Do you need to do anything where you're taking a bit of a risk, something you haven't done or don't normally do, that would help move your life forward? That's where to put your energy right now. And if you want things to be better in a certain group, well, make your focus the Venus in Libra. How do we make this more fair and equitable and peaceful for everybody? How do we make everybody feel as appreciated as they can? How do I bring things together and cause a change or help a change to happen by creating more peace and harmony, or by being more fair or loving? So Venus and Mars are making aspects that are difficult with Neptune over here too. So we've got a lot going on in this chart. A lot. And as you can see, the planets are spread out throughout the whole chart, upper, lower, right, left. So it's pretty balanced in a way as far as advice of like, oh, we have to rely on ourselves. We have to rely on others. Oh, we're conscious of stuff. We're not. So Venus opposite Neptune could be like a lot of illusions and delusions about things. Romanticizing stuff could be very romantic for some of us. You know, it's in the air with Venus and Libra. But you know, you just always want to be a little bit cautious that you're not daydreaming and projecting some ideal person onto the real person that is with Venus and Neptune. And Neptune is also at its final degree of 29 degrees. That's very significant. Pluto's at 29, Mars is at 28. It'll soon to be at 29. And then Neptune at 29. Uranus is at 27, 29 very soon. It's 29 degrees is called the anuretic degree, and it's because it's the last degree of a sign, and it's the ultimate accumulation point before things change into something new. So the buildup and the potential of it and the endings and the closure and whatever it takes to do that is really huge when you've got 3 and coming up on 4 planets that are going to be at that degree. So it's almost, dare I say, you know, on a bigger picture of things, we are at an ending of a chapter in history, more than just ourselves. But you might feel it for yourself as, I feel like I'm at the end of a chapter. I want a brand new chapter of my life too. And not just minor adjustments. I want to feel like I am in a new life. I'm in a new world. I'm in one of my parallel universes of something that I feel I'm here to live. You might feel that very strongly. And that's a global thing because it's in the air. We're in a closure of a chapter in history. And that's why it's also exciting to see Pluto, Uranus, and Venus trining each other with Pluto at the top of the chart. We're poised to go into Aquarius. It's like we're ready for old world, Capricorn world to be done and to go into something else. It's very powerful. So if you're feeling any kind of, you know, messed up, lost, confused, or if you're feeling very excited and you feel like you're on the precipice of like jumping off a cliff with a hang glider and you're about to fly away into something new, we'll have both reactions to change. So I hope for you that you're feeling more the fun, positive one where you feel like you could just take off into something great because it's in the air for all of us. So, as you see, Neptune, North Node, and Chiron, all in the 12th house, all in Aries. It's sort of, because it's a 12th house, some of you might be doing a lot of deep inner work on your wounds and your past. Mercury is in Leo here at 23. Chiron is at 22. That's the only thing really connecting it. Pluto's squaring it. Some of you might be doing a lot of inner work on your wounds and your trauma and your past and your, you know, any kind of wounds to yourself or your ego. But that's in the 12th house. There's a lot of people won't be conscious of that layer to be doing that work, but you might be. And a lot of people, it'll be stimulated, but in a way that it's in an unconscious way. So again, can feel like a buildup of irritability and impatience, stuff like that. Just like the kitty here. Yes. Hi. Hello. The North Node and Neptune together would emphasize focusing on Neptune, but again, Neptune is squaring off with Jupiter. It's squaring off with Mars. It's not a nice energy. It's a lot about, you know, Mars square Neptune can be self-sabotaging and outright deception. Jupiter square Neptune, you know, similar, not as bad as Mars, but still. You can build yourself up into such glorious ideas and projections and ideals that are not true. They're not grounded in reality. Or you can say things that you think are wonderful in the moment and regret them later. Or you can go off on a tangent thinking it's going to be your holy grail and find out that it was a scam. You got to be careful with Neptune when it's squaring and opposing Venus and all these things. So normally we would say, oh, North Node is the direction you go towards, and Neptune is right beside it, so they must be, therefore. But Neptune is, it either creates like a glamorous feeling around things, a magic, but we all know like some things actually are that good to be true, and they are magic, but most things are not. Most things are smoke and mirrors and illusions. Or there's an element where you didn't, there's a lot of missing information, because Neptune's a master at hiding things. It's just like shiny and wonderful and lovely, and we want like a fairy tale, but then we realize, oh, red flag. So when it's near the North Node, it might cloud the North Node. And that's an energy that's coming up more and more because it's at 29 and it's going to keep crawling towards the North Node. Eventually it will go into Aries, the North Node, and it'll be a completely different shift of ideals in society because it's been traveling through Pisces for, I believe, 11, 12 years, maybe even longer. So our cultural ideals are about to also shift. For now, I would say we don't focus on worrying about that right now, on pioneering and going your own way. This chart for me really feels like finding your tribe, finding your flow. And that flow and that tribe is wherever you feel a very natural, easy coming together towards a greater change that has the right, healthy, peaceful, lawful, fair, loving ideals towards people. We're not all in part of something like that, but that would be the goal. And, you know, we'll see some of that if we look for it in the global stage, or your local or provincial or statewide or whatever. Initiatives, you know, amazing initiatives that can happen from this kind of energy. So some of you, if you are set to launch something and you know that you are very solid in those values, you go for it right now. You just go for it. This is really a complex chart this time. What else do we have? Yeah, I think we've pretty much covered it. So the overall thing is, the overall energy I'm getting from this chart is calm down, pull inwards a little bit with fall, with Virgo. Calm down the Gemini side of you that might be scattered all over the place. Consolidate what's really working well for you right now. Look for the people and projects where you feel a sense of there's a true change. There is an alignment here, and that you are ready for. If you're not finding that, you're not ready to do that, just pull yourself back inward a bit. Walk, meditate, read, write, think about the long term. Let yourself reflect a little bit. Make some to-do lists, clean, organize, whatever helps your head. Get yourself a little bit more grounded and be, you know, just allow yourself to very calmly detach a little and discern what and who and when and what, you know, and what is good for you right now. Think about the season, because Pluto is until the 19th. You can think about it as, don't think about it as forever, just like between now and the new year, what energy do I need in my life? What habits do I need in my life? Think about it that way. Let's take a look at the tarot now. All right, let's take a look at our tarot. I wish this thing showed me what the timing on the video. Oh, well, it doesn't. All right. So here's our cards to add any other details to this new moon. So, alrighty. The Death card. Don't be scared. Don't be scared of that. The Death card is that whole shift of chapter, end of chapter, revolution. One thing ends, one thing, something else comes in its place. And the thing is with the Death card, it's always better. I've lived this and I've seen this in readings for so many years. The Death card is a switcheroo. It's a reroute. It's a, no, not that door. We're closing that one. We told you. This one's open and it'll happen pretty quickly. The feeling of a death or a shock or a, oh my God, we thought, and then it's not. It usually doesn't last more than a couple of days before there is something else that presents itself. And you'll be like, you'll just be stunned. You'll be stunned. Okay. So do not be scared of the Death card, but there is that in the air. You might feel it. I feel it this last few days. It feels like creepy and still. It's like, what's going on? What's about to drop here? That's what it feels like. Next card, of course. Frustrating, right? Change. Accepting the nature of change. There's dark, there's light. It always changes. It always goes up. It always goes down. There's yin, there's yang. There's masculine, there's feminine. There's no good, there's no bad. It's just observe, and it is what it is. Things change, and they will always change, and they will change again. Wow. This is almost a very spiritual reading in a sense, because the last card is virtue. You are going to, whatever you go through in this next little new moon window, few days, is going to bring you to another level in yourself somehow. A new level of understanding, of letting go, of peace, of honoring yourself. Wow. I could almost just stop right there. But don't worry, we won't. We're going to look at, we're now going to look at questions for your sign. All right. So how can we phrase this one? This is such an interesting. Let's stick with the theme of inner revolution or rebellion. Do you need a revolution or a rebellion in your life right now? And what would that be? Aries. Your revolution or rebellion, happiness. Interesting. It's funny because the card is happiness and it's bursting and flowing and there's cups everywhere and they're pouring and there's full of flowers and everything is full. So that tells me, is everything too full, too saturated? Is your life just constantly full of activity after person, after conversation, after post, after gig, after dinner, after work project? Is your life okay? This is happiness. You might feel okay with it. You might feel great with it, but the next card is the saturation point where you burn out. That's what you'd sort of be asking yourself or flirting with, okay? Are things overflowing? Are they almost too full? Which sounds like a strange thing in our society. But to be comfortable. You don't want your cup right at the top, because if you pick up your cup, you're going to spill it. You can't drink it. Or you spill it all over yourself or your carpet, or you're going to lose your wine or whatever you got in there. So is everything just right at the brim? Whether that's your emotions, whether that's the activities you've got in your life, the obligations you've got in your life. So your inner revolution would be to avoid burnout and to scale back a bit and be comfortable. Like Aries, you're always like, you always want to be on, all the time. I'm on, I'm ready, right? You also are human, and you need some sleep, and you need some downtime, and you need to be quiet, and you need to have nothing to do sometimes. That'd be your revolution. Taurus, do you need a revolution or a rebellion? Six of Swords. Science. Card is Mercury in Aquarius. So it's actually a time when you need to be honoring the new moon in Virgo energy and pull back. Go within, read, rest, write, be inspired again. Mercury in Aquarius is an unconventional thinker, and it is the sign of revolution. But this is a card of analysis. It's not the revolution, it's the analysis. It's the background research to it. So whatever you might be considering revamping or revolutionizing or rebelling against, you're first going to need to do some digging and some research before you actually do it. But it does look like you're planning it. Now, that's interesting. Gemini, do you need a revolution or a rebellion? Ace of Cups, Ace of Discs. This is telling me what you need is stability. This card could be sometimes a new venture, new job, chunk of money, new friendship, sometimes new partner, but it's solid. It's taken some time to build it. So you actually need some stability, something a little more grounded, something a little more clear, what you're doing. And that could be anything, whether it, if it's people or friendships, well, maybe you need a more regular, solid people, or reliable, or trustworthy, the rock kind of person in your life. And that same theme would apply to work projects, or yeah, you really, you can see in my energies, I'm reading the card, it's just like, you need to sort of come down and ground and have more solid, clear things in your life and less of them right now. Cancers, do you need a revolution or a rebellion? Eight of Cups, Saturn, Pisces. Well, Saturn's in Pisces right now. Main thing I'm hearing here is you need to grieve and you need to cry. So I hate saying that for you, Cancers, because, you're all very sensitive and probably do that anyway. So this last pass of Pluto, I imagine, will be a lot of grieving an old chapter, grieving what can't be, grieving what never was, grieving all the energy you've given to people over the years, the lack of reciprocation, or all the people you, Saturn Pisces, sacrificed yourself for or tried to help, that it didn't work, and how depleted you are because you've been giving without filling your own cup. So your rebellion would be to fill your own cup and to stop sacrificing yourself. Mic drop. Leo, revolution or rebellion? And you get a Leo card. Victory. Oh, yes, it's time. It is time. Whatever you want to do here. You've got Mercury on your side. Other than that, there was nothing really affecting you too much in this chart. Some of the Aries things would be on your side. I think you were well poised for the rebellion or the revolution that you want to make. It's sort of a time of like, be a bit more ballsy and bold than you've been. Show us what you can do. Don't be humble, okay? Virgos, happy birthday to some of you. Rebellion or revolution for Virgo? Oh, 10 of discs. Mercury and Virgo, Mercury everywhere. Well, if there's a revolution for you, it would be around finances, financial management, receiving money, maybe giving money, budgeting, catching up on things that need to be done financially. Could be also acquiring funds on behalf of a project or for other people. Could be philanthropy. You might receive it, you might give it. Very interesting. It's all about money for you, the revolution. If there's a side of you, Virgo, that feels like you don't deserve money, that could be a very revolutionary change for you to make in your mind, is that you deserve it. You deserve to be valued and paid for your skill set. No sacrificing or slave feeling. This could be a nice check that comes to you, a bonus, a surprise as well. But there's something in the air for you with finances. That's your rebellion. Well, for most typical Virgos, that would sort of budget and be careful, but would be more on the side of scarcity, or if there's not enough, they would shrink their lifestyle and be more, even more like ascetic than everybody. Instead of, because they're not going to be extravagant and, well, I want more, just give me more. And it's not about that either. It's about not going into scarcity mentality. And to get out of scarcity, you must believe that you're worth it. All right. Libra. Revolution or rebellion? Oh boy, you're the one with the death card. Okay. Oh, there's definitely something revolutionary going on for you, Libras. It does sort of seem, though, that you will be in a position where you're sort of forced to, because the death card will bring that surprise factor. But like we said, it also brings something better than it was before. So whatever it is that sort of shocks you, or like, oh God, feels terrible, feels like a death to you. Surprise, plans didn't fall through, something that you didn't think you'd ever have to deal with again comes back. This is like Pluto passing one more time. Something better will come out of it. It all depends. Like, you got to react to whatever it is differently than you have in the past. And then the death card brings in something better, which means like whatever comes back to haunt you or comes back to visit, to test you, to say, hey, did you deal with this yet? Did you fix that yet? Well, there's a chance to heal. There's a chance to turn it around. So it doesn't have to be like a, you know, whatever, a bad story or a bad ending or whatever it was in the previous time. So it's interesting. And as I said, don't be scared of it. Scorpios, do you need revolution or rebellion? Feeling kind of feisty, are you? Feeling sort of confident? Ready to sort of be a little more exposed, as you can see. That would be definitely a rebellion and a revolution for you. Show yourself more. Yeah, I think you're ready to sort of come out of your shell on something. And it doesn't mean like a Leo kind of card out in public showing off or anything. Maybe you're just ready to expose an idea, launch a project, talk to somebody again, honestly, that you haven't in a long time. There's a boldness there. And it's being a little more like ready to be a little more, here I am, take me or leave me. A little bit more exposing yourself. That would be your rebellion. Doesn't feel like a huge thing. Like, as far as like everyone's going to notice. No, it's more personal than that. It might be more subtle. It might only be really noticeable to the people that know you well. All right. Sagittarius. Revolution or rebellion? Oh, another fire card. Just like you. King of Wands, that would be you. This is always a card about charging in with fire blazing, right? With flames ablazing and wand ablazing. It's about being very strong-willed, sometimes too much, sometimes a bit domineering, because he could just charge in and take whatever he wants, trample everybody if he wants. He's so strong. Obviously, he doesn't want that. You don't want that. So maybe this is you right now, ready to charge in. Maybe this could be you, best case scenario. If there was anything you want to be rebelling or revolutionizing, you might like this guy's leading the charge, okay? This guy's Braveheart, okay? So if there's something dear to your heart and probably bigger than just you, and you want to be participating in it or leading it in some way, this is the time. This is the time. If it's more personal than that, it's still something to do with your own will and initiative. I get a feeling for you it's going to be bigger than just you. It's something about your role in collectively, either in your workplace or your community or your family or maybe country, but I think it's bigger than you, the rebellion. It feels like you're already pretty clear what you think. So what are you going to do with it now? Capricorns. Revolution or rebellion? Oh, that's lovely, the star. Well, with Pluto in your sign one last time, especially if you're born right on the cusps. Star. Wow. Gosh, the biggest revolutionary thing you could do would be to have hope. What a message. Have faith and hope again. Have dreams again. After all of the Pluto passing that you went through, 16 years of that test. You know, the greatest rebellion would be for you to be positive and hopeful and have dreams and believe in dreams again. Be quiet, that one. Aquarius. What about you? Revolution? You're already revolutionary. Rebellious? Yeah, hell yeah, you are. So what is it now? Yeah, and it's the Aquarius card. Moon and Aquarius card. Futility. Seven of Swords. Well, your rebellion is like walking away. Just gonna walk away from something, someone. You're done. Sort of thing is, Aquarius, you can usually do that pretty easily anyway. Just like detach. Bye. I wonder though whether you officially walk away from things or whether you just zone out, detach, silent treatment, don't talk to people, or whether you can actually address something and walk away. It's in the addressing it that you make it final, that it's actually a step forward instead of a coping mechanism or a manipulation or whatever have you. I'm challenging you. You've got Pluto coming for 20 years. There's going to be lots of change in the world that you can be part of. There'll be things about yourself, your shadow, that you'll be forced to deal with as we shift chapters. And you can make a big difference if you're secure and ready and confident in yourself. And if you typically just sort of don't talk and shut people out, walk away, close them off, put them in a box, you will be challenged. So your revolution, like I said, would be to have tough conversations. Interesting. Pisces, revolution and rebellion. Princess of Discs. Well, for you, it's neither. No, thanks. You don't want it. She's busy looking down. She's busy uncovering whatever's on the ground there under her fur cloaks. She's shining the light on stuff under the earth. She's busy. Maybe her revolution would be to look up and look forward and look straight instead of like introspecting and looking downwards or working on other dimensions or other layers. Maybe it's like head up, look forward. Where am I right now? That's about it. I don't feel you rebellious or revolutionary. I feel you are pretty good, but it would help you to just sort of stop whatever rabbit hole you're into, even if it's healing, and just come up for air and look around you and smell the flowers and take a look at the sky and be present right here and right now. Such interesting messages this time. What a new moon this is. Yeah, I can feel that we're in a chapter change. And 2025, I think, is going to be a huge turning point for history. So we all have to just try to be as healthy and as good with yourself and as at peace with yourself as possible. And we'll see what happens. We adapt. All right, have a lovely new moon. If you want a reading, then you can email me, and that's in the comments below. Otherwise, like, share, subscribe, follow. Thank you very much.